He last visited New Zealand in 1964 with three famous friends. Now, John is a memory, George and Ringo have gone their own separate ways, but Paul McCartney is coming back for a concert in Auckland later this month. In the rock and roll world, the former Beatle is the great survivor, and financially, the great success. Still performing, and at 50, still capable of shocking. One of his latest songs has been banned by MTV for its graphic language, and we should warn you that we include that song and some of that language in this story. Paul McCartney spoke exclusively to Daryl Hutchinson.
Time till I was that close, and then there we were.
Now it's 29 years since we last saw you in New Zealand. Why so long, and why include New Zealand this time?
Well, what happens is you go down to Down Under, as we call it, and nearly always there's an Australian tour, the offing, you know. And then I would talk to the promoter and sort of say, okay, and what's happening down there? So when you're going to Australia, and I also say, well, how about New Zealand? And they can give you a pretty good line about, well, with the cost of sort of flying everything over and the amount of people and so on, so on, so on, so on. And some promoters will tend to do a little U-turn there, and you end up with an Australian tour, you know. But this time I got in early and I said, look, if we're going all that way, you know, let's go to Australia, but let's try and get to New Zealand.
Why? Do you have pleasant memories of it?
Oh, yeah, I've got... Feel strange walking out in front of a bunch of New Zealanders, you know, be like, you know, there's some connection.
New Zealand in 1964, our first and only bout of Beatlemania. The symptoms were mass hysteria and mass purchase of hit records. John, Paul, George and Ringo were four lads from Liverpool who took New Zealand and the world by song. But it wasn't just the songs, it was the look, the so-called mop-top haircuts, the clothes, even the Liverpudlian accents.
And she told me what to say, she said she loves you.
If the Beatles did it, had it or said it, it was simply fab.
You know you should be glad.
What was it like back in those years, being then a young person, the subject of such mania, of such adoration, not just in New Zealand, but around the world? How could you handle that?
1, 2, hey, hey, ah, 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 2, 3. Shut up! Shut up! Can we have a little hush in the studio, please? That was just me throwing my voice. Yeah. What was the question
again? And most
again?
Successfully. What was the question?
The Beatlemania.
Yeah, the Beatlemania, being the subject of such... Yeah. I mean, I was a young kid on the other side of the world who was wearing a plastic Beatles wig. I mean, how crazy was it to have...
And it looked better, too, than what you were, than what you got on today.
I mean, how crazy is it that to have... How did it feel to have people doing such crazy things?
The funny thing is, it really didn't feel very crazy. Although, when I look back at it now, it looks crazier than it felt. I think the thing was that we're young kids, we've been in school, we were looking at earning some money, trying not to get a job, really, but still earn some money, maybe get into music, maybe show business, all that. And it all came off step by step. So it was just great. It was just, wow, we got a job there Friday night, that's good. I think that it was hectic, And, but I never really remember sort of finding it very difficult to deal with. I suppose just we were just young kids.
It was here that for McCartney and the Beatles it began, Matthew Street, Liverpool. In the early 60s, this was the centre of the rock and roll universe, and especially the smoky, crowded Cavern Club, the most famous club in the world. And the group played here almost 300 times. Local teenagers called them the best group in the world, and the world would soon agree. Were they the best years of what's now been a long career?
I think for just kind of excitement and just the first time, you know, yeah, I think, you know, they have a special kind of golden memory. Although the other thing about memory, I'm sure I've blotted out some bits that weren't so good, because we did work long and hard and it wasn't all fun. But I wouldn't necessarily say they're kind of better, because now it's a different kind of thing. It's now I'm a father of 4 kids now. And when I go out, we go out in a sort of different way now, and it's like I'm married now. So that's very nice. All of that, you know, puts a great complexion on what I do. So it's just different. It can still be as great and as exciting, but a completely different way. No birds. There's one way for you, you see. That's not allowed.
There were certainly birds in the 60s. The Beatles had them falling at the feet of their hotel beds, ready, willing and welcome. It was groupies galore, and the world's favourite group wasn't about to complain.
Back then, I mean, sex, drugs, rock and roll, that was describing you, wasn't it?
No, girls, girls, girls would be more appropriate, you know. It was just, you know, you were young guys. I blame the hormones.
Will you be looking for any 29-year-old lookalikes in the crowd in Auckland?
No. Why?
Come on, tell us about it. You must have met some of the local women while you were in New Zealand in 64.
No. Shh. Behave yourself.
We'll keep quiet on that.
This is a sensible interview now.
60 minutes.
No. Listen, that was then, you know. I wasn't married. It was allowed. But now, more than my life's worth, Gov.
And just in case he's ever tempted, there's an omnipresent deterrent. That's McCartney's wife looking over his shoulder. She's had to endure constant criticism of her musical talents, but Linda McCartney is undeniably skilled at keeping her husband to herself.
What's an old man of 50 doing, touring?
Well, I ask myself some mornings. The thing was, the last tour we did a couple of years ago, I thought, well, you know, I'll have a go at touring and see if I like it. It's been a long time and stuff. And I was worried about I was going to get really sort of knackered at the end of it and really be thinking, oh, my God, you know, another Holiday Inn or something. But in fact, we ended up enjoying it very much, and the audiences were brilliant. To get out and see them is a big tonic. So with them and the enjoyment of touring and stuff, the whole thing, you know, turned out to be quite a success.
Thank you. All right. Well, welcome here to Docklands.
In London a couple of weeks ago, a virtual dress rehearsal for the tour.
Carry on now. We're going to do some songs tonight. This won't be the full show because it's not all ready yet. But we'll give you a selection from all the stuff we've been rehearsing, all right? And this song's called Get Out of My Way.
29 years on, this is what we'll see this time. An older rocker who just happens to be the richest in the business. And who's now singing a slightly different tune. Issue songs. Save the world. Protect the animals.
I saw a Capri bubble machine in his brain. Got it on that he didn't feel any pain.
And, it seems, tell it like it is. even if he gets ordered off the airwaves for foul language.
Now you're writing a song that's getting banned by MTV and probably not getting airplay. I mean, why again, I'm sorry to bring the age up again, but why a 50-year-old using the well-known F word in Big Boys Bickering?
You know, now the thing is, you know, at 50, you know, and someone who's read books all your life and you've read good authors and stuff, you're not really surprised by that language in art.
But a lot are surprised, shocked even. After all, this is Mr. Clean who's getting dirty.
You can't be surprised that it's not getting the airplay that it might otherwise have.
I'm not sort of doing it for airplay, really. It's not to do with that. It's when you write songs, songs appear unto you. You know, they kind of slip into your mind and you sort of think, what is this? Well, I'll get it down, whatever it is. And in that song, the F word came in. Instead of saying mucking it up for everyone, which would have been acceptable, I didn't. I used another word.
Everyone, they're fucking it up for everyone. They're fucking it up for everyone.
And I don't regret it. I don't really see it as being very shocking.
What is it about the environment that does seem to affect you? Because, I mean, that's the issue that you've championed for now some time, isn't it?
Yeah, the awkward thing is, you know, people sometimes say to me, oh, you're just doing it for publicity. People like you are doing that. But as I said, I'm a father of 4 kids. And we all, anybody, kids and grown-ups alike, you know, heard about this thing a few years ago, which is this whacking great hole in the ozone layer. Now, the first thing I think we all thought was, don't worry, they'll ban these CFCs and they'll make all this legislation, we'll be all right, and maybe it'll close back up again, you know. I hope so. But that's not what's happened. They've been saying, maybe in 10 years' time, you know, for various reasons. And I sense lots of people seething and going, no, you know, do it. But they've got no voice. They can vote these people in, but then they can turn around and not do it. So someone like me, who is in many ways just like them, as I say, as a parent and with these kind of concerns, and that's only just one of them to symbolize this kind of mess, you know, the oil pollution and stuff is another. Someone like me just feels I've got to use this voice, this opportunity of talking to you and hence people in New Zealand in order to talk some sense instead of just go, oh yeah, you want to know what I brushed my teeth with this morning? Wow, we had great fun. It's like I've got to use some of this time to say, look, you know, any politicians watching or any people watching, I really agree with you and I'm saying it for you, you know, that we want that hole closed, please.
He's talking survival, and on a personal level anyway, it seems he's an expert. He survived the Beatles, he survived the bust-up, he survived Wings, and unlike John Lennon, Paul McCartney has survived fame. The Prince of Pop of the 60s. He might even survive age.
What sort of material can New Zealand audiences expect to see in this tour?
Bit of old, bit of new, bit of something borrowed, something blue. A few years ago, I started doing Beatle tunes again, where for a number of years I didn't want to do them, particularly after the breakup of the Beatles, because it was all a bit tense and we all elected to not really do Beatles songs to try and get on with our new lives. But I recently sort of rediscovered them all. So,
and you like them?
Yeah, I like them. They're kind of fresh, you know. After all that time, it's like I'm relearning them. Can't remember them from 30 years ago.
And how much longer are the albums going to, the Paul McCartney albums going to keep coming out?
Well, I reckon till about 93, I think. The age of about 93 is when I think I'm going to have to slow down then and definitely get into the ballads.
I mean, do you really see touring just going on and on until the walking stick stage?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously I keep asking myself, wait a minute, is it seemly for a gentleman of my, you know, venerable age to be up there? I've always expected age to stop me. But I get to the next barrier and then kind of look over it and think, oh, this isn't too bad. I mean, you know, maybe it will be. And I'm always kind of looking and think, this is going to be terrible, going to knacker me out completely. Get over there, do a tour and think, this is great. This is what I love. You know, and I'm reconvinced again. But, you know, I convinced myself by looking at people like Ray Charles, who's older than me and still gorgeous, people like Muddy Waters, who kind of worked to quite an old age. And the perception of what old age is seems to be changing, for me anyway. I could just be fooling myself. But at the moment, you know, we seem to be having a bit of fun.